My F19, mother F50s, refuses to accept my relationship. Throwaway due to the unique situation. I apologize for the length of the post. Needed context. We live in Scandinavia. My /F19/ family is upper middle class, agnostic. Our relatives have lived in this country as far back as one can trace them. My boyfriend's family is poor and practice Islam. His parents came here from the Middle East 25 / years ago. My boyfriend, M20 / is born and raised here. To make a very long, chaotic, and somewhat traumatizing story short, I got to know my now boyfriend 2.5 years ago. We were in the same class and started out as friends. Over the next 6 months, romantic feelings developed. My parents, particularly my mom /F50s were from the very beginning highly opposed / cautious to me and him seeing each other alone. As time went on and they met more and more, she was okay with him being a friend but would make it clear we could not be in a relationship. She took him under her wing, got him a job at the company she works for, invited him to family outings and holidays. He met my extended family and became a part of my group of friends. We proceeded to pursue a relationship behind both our parents' backs for about a month until we were caught. Since then, I have respected my mother's wishes. I lived in their house, so I abided their rules. I have not done anything physical with him that I would not have done with a close friend since she caught us. At first, we tried to get over one another, but we were best friends and deeply integrated into each other's lives. It has not been possible. We love each other. So out of respect for our, mostly my, parents, we have waited until now, when we have both moved out from home. My boyfriend and I now live in different cities, many hours away from one another. We have not met for months. Therefore we booked a trip for him to come to see me for a week, which is possible due to online learning. When I told my parents that he would come to see me, my mother was devastated. Despite having known him personally for over 2 years, she still thinks he is a danger to me. Literally no one else in my life agrees with her. My grandparents like him, my brother loves him, my friends love him, my mother's co-workers like him. My father is rather neutral. My boyfriend has worked on the side through the last 2 years of high school despite taking the most difficult classes and graduating with high grades. He is now studying at a prestigious school. We have been best friends since like a week after we started talking. He has never done anything to hurt me. How can I make her trust my judgment and let me try out this relationship for myself? I am young, and deep down I am fairly sure two young people living far away from another will eventually grow apart. But I really love him, and he really loves me. We communicate so well and know how to put in the effort to make the relationship work. I know I can't break up with him even before we got to try out having a relationship. The what if will plague me for my entire life if I break up with him just to please my mother. Everyone around me sees me as a responsible person. I graduated with straight A's, also taking the most difficult classes. I was accepted to my dream secondary education. I have held a minimum of one job for the past 3 years. I have never consumed tobacco or drugs and had my first sip of alcohol at 18 legal age here. I have never gone partying except for with the same close group of friends at some of their houses. Even still, I have always let them know where I am and who else is there. I don't need them to love my boyfriend, I just need them to love me and trust me enough to let me figure this out. Cutting my family off is not an option, firstly for financial reasons and secondly because they are everything to me. I truly love my mother, and in every other aspect of my life, she is a role model for me. Since moving, we FaceTime several times a day every day. She is always there for me and always wants what is best for me. She has never been controlling in any other aspect of my life. She has trusted me to make educated choices. The times we have talked about my relationship or potential relationship, she has made more than one point where I can see where she is coming from. However, almost all of the concerns are either not relevant until the stage of marriage/kids, or they are concerns based upon him having a mindset of a radically conservative Muslim man, which he simply is not. He is an agnostic as well, and politically his beliefs align with mine to 90%. My mother and and I having this conversation always just ends up with both of us in tears, agreeing to disagree. But it is never the last of it. She acts like I have betrayed her in the worst way possible every time it comes up. The last time was yesterday when I told Dad that he is coming to see me. She called me up later with "I heard the bad news," and proceeded to say things like, "You always hide things from us until we are just forced to go with them. I want to give you everything in this world except him. I am so far away from agreeing to this as I can be, but I can't stop you." I have promised her not to lie about things ever again after she found out about us the first time, and I keep to my word. I just don't know how to proceed. The guilt is killing me. How do I navigate this situation without cutting anyone out of my life? TL, Doctor, my mother does not accept my boyfriend on the basis that his upbringing/religion would make our relationship unhealthy. I don't live at home anymore, but she still cannot trust me to make my own choices. No one else in our lives agrees with her. I do not want her, or him, out of my life. What do I do? Mom, if you can't get over this, we need to set clear rules that we won't talk about my relationship. I won't tell you anything about it, you won't mention it. If you start talking about it in a negative way, I will hang up. I love you and I want to be in contact with you, but you need to get over this. Stop talking to your mother about your relationship. It's unnecessary and unfulfilling. Just stop talking about. If she pesters you or makes negative comments, get up and leave the room. You can still talk about him and what you do together, just stop getting into long drawn out convos with her on your relationship's status. You can't make your mom see reason on this. You don't have to cut her off, but you do have to stop caring about what she thinks. What has your BF done to make her think he's a danger to you? Press her for a proper explanation. You want sound reasoning. If she says it's just how she feels, tell her that she's entitled to her feelings, but it's a bit cruel to micromanage and control you because of her feelings. Honestly, he has not done anything to make her think that. Her explanation is that because he was raised in a household with traditional Middle Eastern values, he will eventually start to treat me accordingly. While she is completely correct about the way my boyfriend was raised, she does not believe that that also created the rift between him and them. He was raised to think that women belong in the home. The men should provide for the family, the husband may physically discipline both his wife and children, etc. As I am sure many ex-religious Redditors/Redditors who grew up in abusive homes can testify, this does not mean that he will turn out like his parents. He has wanted nothing more than to get out of that house for years. He shares none of their values. I have tried to tell her this, and sometimes she seems to believe me and just says that she can feel that he is wrong for me. Other times she won't back down, says that everyone turns out like their parents or that he has manipulated me into thinking that. During our conversation yesterday, she made it clear she is worried that he will forcibly rape me when he gets here. My wife, 25, and Mill, 55, argue for hours a day and it's ruining our relationship. My wife and Mill operate a business together. When my wife is home, she's typically on the phone with her mother. They argue about the business and personal topics, which often results in them yelling at and insulting each other. When they're on the phone, speakerphone, I usually go find chores to do or I go sit in another room because I don't want to listen to the arguments. My wife will get angry at me when I get up, calling me scared or a baby. When she gets off the phone, she will then complain to me about the conversation she's just had, and ultimately this leaves us with very little alone time together to talk about other topics. On top of that, I feel that she carries the rage or frustration into our personal life and snaps/yells at me in the same manner she's used to with her mother. I try my best to remain calm and help out with their business problems if possible, since I understand running a business can be extremely tiresome and stressful. But I don't see this ever going away between them since they talk this way about personal topics as well, and it seems like it's been this way even before the business. Any thoughts on how to help them improve their relationship, or for me to find a better way to deal with it? TL Doctor, my wife and Mill are on the phone constantly arguing and insulting each other, which causes my wife to act that way toward me, and I can't take it anymore. Let's cut to the chase. Your wife is an abusive person. No, she's not. She just... Yes, she is. My wife will get angry at me when I get up, calling me scared or a baby. Name calling and derision is one of the hallmarks of an abusive relationship. She carries the rage or frustration into our personal life and snaps/yells at me in the same manner she's used to with her mother. Unrestrained and misdirected anger. Your wife is abusive. She is abusive toward her mother, and whether her mother is abusive back is no excuse, and she is abusive to you. So when you ask this, any thoughts on how to find a better way to deal with it? What you are actually asking is, how can I salvage this so that I can better cope with being in an abusive relationship? You don't cope with an abusive relationship, you leave an abusive relationship. And as for this, I don't see this ever going away between them, since they talk this way about personal topics as well, and it seems like it's been this way even before the business. You're exactly correct. You will never ever be able to change the way they interact, because this is how they want to interact with one another. So this is how they are going to interact until one of them dies. And this is how your wife is going to treat you for as long as the relationship goes on. It's up to you whether you wish to remain to be abused or not. But those are your choices. There is no magical and she suddenly starts treating me well. Third option. Calling me scared or a baby. Just no. Stop trying to help with business problems unless and until she starts treating you like a cherished human being, not a mat upon which she can hurl her vitriol. If she rages, you might have the bad experience of picking a not very nice person to marry. This is not a mill issue. This is a wife issue. The best way to deal with it is start to deal with it head on. Boundaries are your friend. Use them. I have not read it, but the book Hold On to Your NUTS, Non-Negotiable, Unalterable Terms, comes recommended by some on men setting boundaries in marriage. Good luck. My wife will get angry at me when I get up, calling me scared or a baby. FYI, this is mild abuse, but abuse nonetheless. It's verbal abuse. It's not really up to us to rank it. There's no suffering Olympics. Was she like this before you got married? I would leave someone who treated me this terribly. I think at the very least you all need counseling. The fact that she calls you names when you try to remove yourself from the situation is abusive behavior. It's gotten much more frequent in the past year or so as their business has grown. She spends much more time with her mother both in person and on the phone now. I suppose that could be the reasoning for her increased irritability. Time for a come to Jesus talk with your wife and, later on, your mill. But wife first. Sit down and clearly articulate in written form what you are experiencing, feelings, examples, how it is affecting your relationship, etc. Give it a day or two, reread and write it over, adding or editing anything else you feel is of importance. Do this several times until you are satisfied with the tone and content. While this is going on, withdraw from interacting with either of them other than polite conversation, clearly signaling that something is changing. Include in your thoughts the outcome you desire from this conversation and how to achieve it. And of course, tell her how much you love her and how much she means to you. When you have your thoughts ready to be presented, sit her down and calmly share them, but ask her to please not interrupt or respond. Then ask her to sit down and do this process as well, clearly articulating the issues and outcomes she desires. Make a plan together, then start working on how to deal with mom. You and she need clear boundaries and tolerances on how to behave. They have been toxic for a long time, so she needs to be crystal clear in her process. Good luck, friend. This has worked for me and it can work for you. Again, counseling at some point may be necessary. It can only help. My boyfriend 20M found out his friend's 30F husband, 31M, is cheating on her. He doesn't want to tell her and I think she deserves to know. What should I do? A little background info. My 23F boyfriend 20M, I'll call him Bob, has been good friends with this woman 30F, I'll call her Jill, for nearly 2 years now, as they used to work together in the past. She has a son and is married to a man I will call Joe M31, and we all have gone out on numerous outings together. While I'm not nearly as close to her and her family as my boyfriend is, I still consider her a decent friend over an everyday acquaintance. My boyfriend, Bob, told me a secret. This secret is that he knows that Joe, Jill's husband, has been sleeping around with other women behind her back. He knows this because the mistress, another old co-worker, whom I also know personally, had told him all about the graphic details. I know all parties involved. My boyfriend told me not to tell a single soul. So, here I am, going crazy with this information and feeling as though either he needs to tell Jill what's going on or I need to tell her myself. Bob keeps telling me that it's none of my business and she will find out when she is meant to find out. That it will ruin their family and traumatize her son. Among other things, my boyfriend gets angry with me anytime I bring it up and tells me that he knew he shouldn't have told me. I told him that I'd want to know if he was sleeping around with someone else behind my back, and he told me that he wouldn't want to know if I was cheating on him, which I thought was a little bit of a red flag. I can understand the phrase ignorance is bliss, but for some reason this entire situation doesn't sit well with me. Side note 1, this is not the first time he has cheated on her. And yes, she has found out in the past and nearly left him for it. Side note 2, after his first incident, she apparently hasn't been having sex with her husband all that often. Is this a legitimate excuse to commit adultery? For me and morals, absolutely not. I'm at a loss of what to do and I'm worried if I say anything to her that my boyfriend would be very angry at me, since he said he would, and I truly believe he would leave me because of it. We have been together for 2 years. I'm starting to believe it's none of my business and should ignore it, since he says I'm being selfish for wanting to tell her and gets angry, yelling included, anytime I voice my concerns about it. Edit, just a few details I maybe should have mentioned before. 1. The cheating husband is in the military. Punishment for adultery in the military remains pretty harsh, so I believe this can benefit the wife. 2. I personally do not have proof. The proof is on my boyfriend's phone, which is why I've tried convincing him to tell I don't want to tell her empty-handed. My boyfriend won't budge. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend told me that he found out his friend's husband is cheating on her. He doesn't want to tell her and I think she has a right to know.